What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another Pitching Ninja's filthiest pitches of the day. Remember, before we get to those pitches, hit that subscribe button. Join Ninja Nation. Be a part of the biggest and best daily baseball show on YouTube. And make me happy. And now, without further ado, here are my filthiest pitches of the day. I'm going to start with Brayan Bello, who had 2 Ks in 6 2/3 innings, giving up 1 run. He got one of the Ks on his trademark changeup. He faced Cole Ragans, who was outstanding with 11 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings, giving up only 1 run. His fastball was up to 98 miles an hour and got a sword on it, and had these cutters, sliders, and changeups. Really impressive stuff. Seth Lugo only had 2 Ks in 2 1/3 innings and gave up 8 runs. I thought his 2 Ks were interesting. He had this painted fastball, but you see the pitch before was also a painted fastball. It's just, well, the catcher had to reach for it. It's in virtually the same spot on the plate, and it was called a ball. You can see how much missing your spot has an effect on whether a pitch is called a ball or a strike. Even though by the rules, it shouldn't have any effect because this isn't 8-ball or horse. You don't have to call your shot. The ball just needs to be in the zone. And then you have this one where he gets a K on a curveball that Betts chases, but the pitch before was called a strike, and it was way off the plate, so you see why Betts had a swing at that second pitch. Just some little things that can really change the game. Brandon "Bird Dog" Williamson had a career-high 9 strikeouts in 6 2/3 innings, giving up only 1 run and had no walks. He relied on his fastball as well as his cutter and changeup. And he outdueled Eury Perez, who had 7 Ks in 4 2/3 innings, giving up 4 runs. As you know, I'm really high on Perez, and he was making his first start after getting recalled back up. And his stuff looked good. He had these fastballs, changeups, and sliders, but struggled a little bit with location in the 3rd and 4th innings and gave up 4 runs. In the long run, though, he is going to be a stud. Pablo Lopez had 8 Ks in 7 scoreless innings, giving up only 5 hits and no walks. He got Ks on his fastballs, curveballs, and sweepers. Dane Dunning had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had these sinkers and cutters, including this painted cutter, and got a sword on this slider. He faced Ken Waldichuk, who had 7 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had these fastballs, changeups, and filthy sweepers. Logan Webb had 6 Ks in 5 2/3 innings, giving up 1 earned run, and got Ks on his sliders, which were really breaking bad. Okay, that's just a reference to the fact that he looks like Jesse Plemons, who played Todd on Breaking Bad. But his most dominant pitch was his changeup, and he got Ks on these changeups. And because you're subscribed to this channel, here's Logan Webb's changeup grip.
Dot kind of at the top the entire time, and it's the same sort of concept with my changeup. So it's like it's a modified. I split my fingers a decent amount, but it's like a modified split change type thing. But it's almost like the same thing. I want to see that circle at the top.
Webb faced Patrick Sandoval, who had 8 Ks in 6 2/3 innings, giving up 2 runs, and had this fastball and slider, but his best pitch this game was also his changeup. He got 12 whiffs on his changeup. I thought he was struggling earlier in the year with his changeup, but he appears to have gotten it back. Spencer Strider had 3 Ks in 2 2/3 innings, giving up 6 runs. That's going to leave a mark on his chances of winning the Cy Young this year. He did get Ks on this elevated 99-mile-an-hour fastball as well as these sliders, but this was definitely one of the worst outings I've seen Strider have. He faced Osvaldo Bido, who had 3 Ks in 4 innings, giving up 3 runs, and had these fastballs and got a sword. Dylan Cease had 6 Ks in 5 1/3 innings, giving up no runs and only 1 hit, and took a no-hitter into the 6th inning, but had 7 walks in doing that. So neither Cease nor the hitters knew where the pitch was going. He had Ks on this elevated fastball for a sword, as well, of course, his wicked sliders. He battled Garrett Cole, who had 3 Ks in 7 innings, but gave up 4 runs. Cole had this painted fastball, as well as these cutters. Kodai Senga had 6 Ks in 6 innings, giving up 2 runs. He had these overpowering fastballs, including this painted one at 97 miles an hour, as well as his disappearing ghost forks. Here's an isolated look at Senga's grip and the spin axis of his ghost fork. And he also had this vicious ghost fork to Dansby. Look at that drop. I'm not talking about the Ghost Fork. I'm talking about Swanson's bat and helmet that had about 70 inches of drop. Pure filth. Here's an overlay of Senga's Ghost Fork and his fastball, and you can see why tunneling those two pitches makes it really tough to hit against Senga. Peter Lambert had 4 Ks in 3 2/3 innings, giving up 5 runs, and had this slider and sweeper. And he faced yesterday's co-filthiest starting pitcher of the day, Freddy Peralta. Peralta had an amazing 13 strikeouts in 7 innings, giving up only 1 hit. He was absolutely dominant and got 31 whiffs in this game. He got 17 of his whiffs on his fastball and got a sword on one. Got 5 whiffs on his sliders and 6 whiffs on his curveballs. A fantastic outing by Freddy Peralta. Hyunjin Ryu looked really good with 2 Ks in 4 innings, giving up no hits or runs. He got Ks on his changeup and painted fastball. And he faced yesterday's other co-filthiest starting pitcher of the day yesterday, Gavin Williams. The rookie was flat out dominant with 12 strikeouts in 7 innings, giving up only 1 hit, no runs, and only 1 walk. He got 12 whiffs on his fastball, just blowing it by hitters, and topping out at 98 miles an hour. He also got Ks on his wicked sliders and curveballs, and here's an overlay of his fastball and curveball. And it really shows you how much drop that curveball gets. A hitter thinks he's getting an elevated fastball, and he gets something that ends up in the dirt. Just a great outing by Gavin Williams. Another young pitcher who's going to be really, really good for years to come. Now on to my filthiest relievers. Carlos Hernandez had this 101-mile-an-hour diesel, and then this elevated fastball that would have been a K, but was called not a swing. What do y'all think? Was this a swing or not? This call was really important because that call ended up in a walk instead of a strikeout, which would have got him out of the inning. And 2 pitches later, boom, a walk-off grand slam. Jason Foley had this 99-mile-an-hour wicked two-seamer. Elvis Peguero had this 98-mile-an-hour fastball just off the plate and this 94-mile-an-hour devilish slider. Taylor Rogers had this filthy sweeper. Kenley Jansen had this cutter and 97-mile-an-hour sinker. Camilo Doval K'd the side with his 101-mile-an-hour fastballs and then did a little dance after his last strikeout. One thing to take a look at in Doval's mechanics, look how he rotates into his back leg, really getting that torque. You'll see it again with Aroldis Chapman here, who also struck out the side with his slider, fastball, and then this 101-mile-an-hour K and K stare. And Chapman does that same thing in his windup, where he torques into his back leg, and his is even more exaggerated. For all you young aspiring pitchers, this might be something to try out. Psycho Joe Kelly struck out the side with his slider, 101-mile-an-hour fastball, and this messing with timing knuckle curve. He just loves to torture Fernando Tatis. And my filthiest reliever of the day yesterday was Bryan Shaw. Shaw picked up 4 Ks in 2 innings on his curveballs, changeups, and sinkers. But the biggest reason I'm featuring him is because of this sinker that made Aaron Boone lose his mind. It was called a strike, and you can see Laz Diaz actually got this one right. Of course, he got a ton of pitches wrong this game, as you can see in this graph from Baseball Savant. But this pitch from Shaw was the last straw. Oh, that's a good rhyme, Ninja. Boone yelled out to Diaz, "What the f*** are you doing?" And then went on an epic tirade. And Diaz didn't just stand there. He was giving it back as much as he was taking it. But the highlight of this was Boone getting behind the plate, drawing a line where he thought the pitch was, and then imitating Laz Diaz almost perfectly. And he gets in Diaz's face after that and goes, "You stink." I paired Boone's mechanics up with Diaz, and look at this. It's almost identical. A fantastic impersonation by Aaron Boone.
That's right. Welcome back to Dong of the Week, the part of the Pitching Ninja show where batters don't have to be so afraid. We're going to start off here with the walk-off grand slam ding-dong that Ninja just showed you from Pablo Reyes. My beloved Red Sox need a little injection here after just a truly awful week previously, and Pablo is here to oblige. Next, to the surprise of no one, we are checking out the Atlanta Juice Monsters again, and Matt Olson jacks his 39th of the year, spanks it nearly out of Wrigley. He now leads the National League, one behind Shohei for MLB lead in home runs. You can do your best to try and contain these braves, but they will just rip your heart out and shove it down your throat. But the Dog of the Week goes to Mad Mitch Garber for an Oppenheimer-sized blast. Unbelievable catch by this woman, by the way. And Garber obviously socks Tim Anderson on the jog by. Incredible nuke by Garber, and that's your Dog of the Week.
And now, my Pitching Ninja moment of zen. Check out these kids heckling Laz Diaz. As Whitney Houston sang, I believe the children are our future. What is up, everybody? My picks of the day today are a three-leg parlay. I'm going to start out with a same-game parlay of Sonny Gray and Eduardo Rodriguez, both for 6Ks or more. And then I'm going to top it off with Cutter Crawford for 5Ks or more. What would your picks of the day be?